Hello everybody, I am Baltmatrix, and today we are taking a look at Tidal Wave. This is the Titan that I have been looking forward to for years. Tidal Wave, the original figure, is one of my all-time favorite Transformer toys. And this one definitely is an upgrade, at least in size. Functionality is a little bit better. There is a base mode as opposed to the original figure, which did not have a base mode. And, well, these things are just so much bigger. Though the transformation into Dark Fleet mode, or Giant Spaceship mode, is a little different. A quick size comparison when compared to some Leader class and Commander class figures, you could see that Tidal Wave's individual little robots, or individual parts, are just massive. I mean, they're bigger than the Commander class figures. Well, at least these two Commander class figures. It's definitely bigger than that Leader class Armada Megatron. I think a better comparison is Commander class Skylynx. Each one of the components are roughly the same length as the shuttle mode. Definitely wider, or at least bulkier, but I would say, yeah, they're wider, or some of them are wider and some of them are about the same width. This set's big in vehicle mode. It's just big. Let's take a look at each piece individually. First, we'll start off with the aircraft carrier, and it's a little bit different than the original Tidal Wave figure. Instead of the hands kind of forming a bow, you've got this open part, which is a blaster in the front, which I actually do like. The overall look is good, and I forgot to fold that piece out. Yeah, it's definitely an aircraft carrier. I'm not too thrilled about this giant gaping hole on the side, but who cares? It's not that big a deal. Yeah, aircraft carrier is very cool. It's also really big, and I kind of want a Commander class broadside to be about the same size as this. That would be cool. Next, we're going to take a look at the hovercraft, and this is where I really have a problem with the set, because just lifting it up, the set does not hold together that well. Or these two pieces do not hold together that well. Good amount of force is required to push them together, but as soon as if I just put it down... Oh, it's not doing it now, because of course, like when I put it down yesterday on this review table, it just kept splitting apart. These are not very strong connectors, which is a shame. I really, really wish those clips were stronger. Damn it. See what I mean? As soon as you pick up the figure, it just starts to fall apart, and that sucks. That's my only complaint of this set, is just the hovercraft will not stay together no matter what you do. And finally, my favorite part of the set is the Submarine. Oh, this is so good. This is so good. I love this. It's so nice. It's so big. It's just a big chunky boat. And it's got cannons that are separate when you get the thing out of the box. All of these little missile launchers and these cannons are in little packs. And then you can lock the cannons into place by these little nubs right where my finger is. And that goes there. And they can lock into place pointing forward. All of them can. But then if you just lift them up a little bit, you can move them around 360 degrees. And then the actual turrets themselves lift up and down to I'd say that's about 80 degrees. Oh, I love it so much. I really, really like this one. Now, all of these do have little things underneath or inside, and that has to do with the combination for Megatron, which we'll talk about later. One word of warning, this thing doesn't peg in all that tight, and it does have a tendency to fall out, especially if you kind of drop the thing or put it down a little bit too tight or a little too hard. It does fall out. Not a huge deal. Just put it right back in. All right, let's go ahead and get it merged up into the battleship mode that is iconic for this character. Now, one word of warning, the figure does not transform into this mode in the same way that the original figure does, and you can't go from the combined boat mode right into the robot mode. You just can't. That is a point off in my book, but it's not the end of the world. So, to start off with, grab your little battleship or aircraft carrier and don't do anything to it. It's fine. Then grab the submarine and take the front of the submarine and open that up, split it out like that. And yes, there are some really crazy ratchets in this set. You might hear it through the transformation. Then what we're going to do is take the boat, and there's an opening right here at the back of the boat, and shove that in over top the giant robot head. Yes, that is a giant robot head. And then close these pontoons up, and there are little clips on the sides of the pontoons here and here, which will peg into right there on the battleship, or on the, I keep calling this a battleship, it's an aircraft carrier. And if you heard that sound of plastic rummaging around, that's because this thing fell out. So to do this, I'm going to just grab that, put that in, and then work on getting this pegged into place. And it is a little bit harder to do than you might think. So I normally start off with one side, peg it in there, and then just kind of work it using the ratchets and try to get it worked into place. And sometimes it works just fine. Other times I have to curse and really use some strength in order to get it to move. So we just got to get that lined, this one lined up as well. There we go. There, got it pegged in. There we go. So we have the first part done. Now we'll just turn this whole thing around and take this guy and pop it apart. Now, to get these pegged in, first we reach inside and flip out these connectors. Do that on both sides. And then connect the pontoon hovercraft section to a couple of points. Right here, the piece we just flipped out, that piece will get pegged in there. And then the very, very tip of the pontoon on-ramp will get pegged into a slot that is on the back, right there. I don't know how well that's coming out on camera. And I found that you can either push this in first and get it lined up, or I like to line everything up first and then just kind of shove it in. It's one word of warning when getting this all hooked up together. You need to make sure these pontoons are pushed down or backwards far enough. And that was a problem I was running into just off camera. I couldn't get this thing to line up correctly. And I found out that I didn't have these transformed. I was off by one click in the ratchet. So just one click can mess everything up for you. And just gotta get that pegged in. Everything lined up. And there we go. I absolutely adore this combination. This is probably my favorite Titan in terms of alt mode, hands down. It has I am over the moon with this thing. This is exactly what I wanted from a Titan class tidal wave. It's absolutely massive. The thing is 22 inches long. 22 inches long! That's a big boat! I mean, look at the size of this thing. It's up to the top of Omega Supreme's tracks and is just about up to the antennas on Scorponok. And for those wondering, no, I have not figured out a way to put blast effects on the back of this thing. The holes are just too small. Before we move on, let's go ahead and get out the little bits that we combined with Armada Megatron. To start off with, come to the arms and take these little light sections, I guess, and pull them up and away from the figure, and then we could grab the entire front of the flight deck and unpeg it and pull it up and away from the body. Take these sections, flip them out, and then we just take the front of the boat section and put it off to the side. Come to the hovercraft, turn them upside down, and unpeg the wings, like that. And then come to the top and open up the top, and there is this section right here that we pull out on both sides. Do that on both of them, and then put the hovercraft off to the side. Then take the two hovercraft bits, combine them, and then take the flat sections and then probably have that backwards. Put them on top. The directions, I think I have them reversed. I think the directions have the pointy bits facing the other way. But there's the hovercraft. That and that. Then finally, we come to the bottom and just whack the bottom and pull out the little ship and fold it around like this. Just got to get it snapped into place. There we go. I have not had this Leader Megatron figure long, but man, it has not held up that well. Most of the joints are all super loose, especially in the shoulders and in the knees and the hinges for the hips. Nothing is holding up well on this guy. And don't even get me started on those stupid antennae. They still fall out, even after Gorilla Gluing them into place. So to start off with, we're going to take Megatron and transform him into the combined mode. We just need to get the hips turned around and then get the torso turned around. Come on, move. Okay, that joint is very tight. And then point the barrel forward. Point that stupid missile launcher that falls off all the time forward, like that. All right, he's ready to go. So first off, come to the hovercraft and unpeg some shoes and put them onto the bottom of Megatron. Like that. All right. Next, grab the submarine and reach underneath and pull out this connector port and come to the battleship and do the same thing. And I did forget one thing when I pulled this apart. What you're supposed to do is pull this apart and then flip these sections around. Combine those back up. All right, so the pegs on both of these are good to go. All right, for the hovercraft, turn it upside down, reach underneath and pull out these pegs, split the unit apart, fold out these gray pieces on the inside, and flip out that central peg. There's a nice little divot here where you can get your finger in. Combine them up. Come to the back of Megatron, and these three pegs will peg in here, here, and here. And this is actually a little bit on the tricky side. You just have to make sure everything's lined up. You can get the shoulders in the correct places. I have found that the shoulders don't always go in the right spots, but just push them down and you should be able to get them in there. And the pegs are actually pretty hard to push in. But once you get it, that is what it's supposed to look like. And then the directions have you taking the submarine and the aircraft carrier and pegging them in to the shoulders, which is not the way the original figure was. They attached to the forearms, which you can do here. You can actually unpeg them and then just peg them into the forearms. But I have found that pegging them into the shoulders actually makes the figure hold together a little better, because the weight of the individual pieces is not on the arms, but rather on the shoulders, which are now, for the most part, locked into place. The only posability he's got is his turret, the individual pieces, and then his shoulder arms, which can move forward and back, and then the elbows, obviously. So I don't think that looks bad. It's not exactly what I wanted, but it works, and the fact that they included it at all is really nice. In fact, I was really wondering if they were going to make like these pieces actually transform into a mini tidal wave. That would have been cool. I have a feeling the third parties are going to take that idea and run with it. Just turn these into their own mini tidal waves. That would be cool. All right, we're going to put these back where they belong on the big boys. So the middle section just goes on like that. Whoop, I forgot to fold that up. There we go. And then the aircraft carrier bits will drop down into place. First, we have to combine them. And then drop them down into place. And then grab these guys, and this is the part that I had a lot of trouble with the other night, is getting these back in. And nope, I don't think I have it. Am I doing this right? I think I am. There we go. There. All right. Let's go ahead and combine him into the tidal wave robot mode. All right, we're going to go ahead and get into the robot mode. First, come down to the hovercraft, split it apart, which it'll do on its own. Open up the top, and then flip out part of the leg. Close that back up, fold that up, fold the ramp up, and fold out the heel. So we have a lower leg, and just repeat the process on the other side. Yeah, can you hear the ratchet joints? Oh, so good. And then we can fold up the little wings. All right, put those off to the side. Grab the aircraft carrier. Fold that piece down, and then fold the tower down. Snap it into place. Grab the back areas and flip out the connector bars. And then split the thing in half. Stand it up, and then turn it so that the actual elbow joint is bent and pointing in the direction where it can, bend normally. And then do the same thing on the other one. All right, we got the arms. And now for the torso. Come to the back of the submarine and fold out the upper legs. Grab the entire middle section and pull it away from the body. And turn it around 180 degrees, and then fold it back down and snap it into place. And come up to the pontoons, flip them around, and they will peg and snap into place in these two. And just getting that lined up. All right, putting on the legs, slide them from the outside. And then for the arms, just peg them into place. I'm so freaking happy. The robot mode we end up with is perfect. I have no complaints. It looks exactly what I wanted to have him look like. And for the first time in the US, we have a properly colored tidal wave. Head sculpt is amazing. I love this head sculpt. It's big, it's chunky, it's doofy, it's exactly... it's perfect. As a Titan class figure, it's appropriately large. That is leader class Armada Megatron, and it comes up to his knees. Yeah, it's a big boy, and I'm so happy. And for the most part, the back is very clean, which is great. And you've got that mini piece of him hanging out in the back. I'm fine with that. Posability on Tidal Wave is really good, especially for a figure of this size. Head is on a swivel, and it can do 360, and then it can also unpeg and look up all the way. Yeah, you have a little gap there in the neck. I'm fine with that. Shoulders are ratcheted, and they come in and out. And they're super tight. They do 360. They're so tight, I'm worried they're going to break. Elbows, super ratchety, do over 90 degrees, and then they have side-to-side swivel. And then each individual hand is posable. You've got open and close, and then the fists do, the actual thumb has a double joint, so the whole thing spins, and then the individual thumb itself spins. And this is specifically so you could detach this section, which we'll do so you can see. And then once it's detached, you can turn it so that it acts more like a pincer than an actual hand, which is really cool. And I just love the fact that they gave him cannons in his palms. Now you might think at this size class he's got no torso articulation, but you'd be wrong. So his front skirt and his back armor skirts lift up and out of the way so you can turn the thing. And it will do 360 degrees. Legs are posable as well. We've got a forward kick and a backward kick, and I have to be very careful because I've already pinched my hands really badly already. Then it can do the splits, Then there's a thigh swivel up here. Bend at the knee is 90 degrees. And his feet also are on ratcheted ankle rocks. I dare say this is the most posable Titan figure, and I don't mean that the other ones are lacking in joints. No, they aren't. But this one is the perfect balance, and it has all of its joints being super, super tight. Every pose I put this thing in, it looks amazing. In the course of filming this review, I have discovered one issue, and that has to do with the actual hinge right here inside the armpit. Not this big one, but this little tiny one. That ratchet is not exactly the strongest ratchet in the world, so just be aware of that. Now, the one last thing that we're going to do today is show the base mode. Tidal Wave has a base mode, and that sure is a Transformers base mode. It's literally just the figure folding down or falling on his back, and then kind of converting into a base. I did neglect to show that there is an extra joint here. In the robot mode, you can utilize it, but be careful if you do. It does click into place when it's straight and when it's in this pose. This base mode is fine. It's just as good as any of the other base modes. Tidal Wave is my favorite Titan, and I feel that it's the first Titan that really delivers on what I want from this line. Now, I'm not saying that any of the other Titans are bad figures. I just don't have the same reverence for the other characters that I do as with Tidal Wave. Tidal Wave was my favorite Armada figure. No, he wasn't the best character on the show, but as a toy, he was a cut above the rest. This is the best figure of Tidal Wave we've ever gotten, and that list of figures is pretty low. At the end of the day, I have to answer the question of, is it worth it? Yes. Yes, it is worth it. Of all the Titans out there, I think this is the most appropriate Titan out there, and as I've said, it's by far my favorite. I love this figure. I am so glad I was able to get it, even though Hasbro Pulse seemed to have canceled my pre-order, which doesn't make any sense. Anywho, folks, let me know what you think of Tidal Wave down in the comments. Thank you all for watching. I have been Baltmatrix, and I will catch you all next time.